Hey folks, Frostbite Vinny here. So I'm going to change up things a little bit on my Google Earth animation videos. I'm going to do a voiceover instead of music, and reason I wanted to give a reason why I'm actually doing these videos is because it's a fairly long trip. It is in some questionable areas, and I wanted to get an overview of what I'm going through, what I'm going to be looking at, trying to spot troubled areas, and dotting all my T or my I's and crossing all my T's, that kind of thing. It's a trip that's this section here is about 131 miles as the crow flies, and it's going to be around 200-ish when it's all said and done. I think I won't know until I actually complete it. There's a lot of twists and turns. So if you're wondering why I'm doing these videos, that's why, and hopefully you'll get some entertainment value out of it. And I'm just searching for troubled areas. So let's head down to our beginning point, which would be the South Dakota, Montana, Wyoming tri-state marker. This is a road here. It's called Albion Road. I wasn't sure what Albion meant because there's a lake in my area called Albion Lake. And Albion, albus, means white in Latin. And apparently, Great Britain was actually named Albion by the Romans in the early centuries, and it means white land, and they named it that because of the white cliffs of Dover. So there's a little trivia for you. That's where that all comes from. Cool, 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 huh? You can see it's pretty desolate out here. There is nothing. There's more than nothing, or less than nothing. I'm not sure how you say that, but anyways, this will hook up to what's called Camp Crook Road, which is right here. And we'll be coming off Camp Crook Road and taking a little detour on what's called the MDU Loop Road. And I had no idea what MDU meant, but it means Minnesota, Montana, Dakota Utilities. So it's a utility company that provides energy in these remote areas. And here's the MDU Loop Road here. This will meander around and it'll go back to Camp Crook Road. And I'll begin to give you a little history on where the town of Camp Crook got its name. It was from General George Crook. The Indians called him Gray Wolf because he was quite the Indian fighter, I suppose. And Camp Crook, the town of Camp Crook, was where he and his soldiers had to shore up after some long engagements with Indians, and they were nearly starving to death and had to eat their horses. So here we are back on Camp Crook Road. In a second here, I'll show you a picture of Mr. George Crook, General George Crook. He had an interesting beard, mutton chops. There he is there. He did write a couple books, an autobiography, as you can see there, and another book uh, going over the operations against Apache Indians. I believe that was in Arizona. There's a lot of books written about him. They call him one of the forgotten generals. He was one of the important ones, alongside with the names of like General George Custer, except he didn't die. Uh, Camp Crook, the town of Camp Crook, is about 140 years old, and it was a camp for General Crook and his soldiers for a while. And it is the only little town west of the Little Missouri River in northwest South Dakota. Here's Camp Crook, population 63. Did a little research also. There is no fuel here. So if you want to go through Camp Crook for fuel, you won't find it. There's a lot of history here, but if you want fuel, you will have to head due east 24 miles to the little town of Buffalo, South Dakota. And this road here will lead to the uh, South Dakota Montana border, to Capel Rock Road, which will Capitol Rock Road will lead us into the Custer National Forest, and the road is, here's Capitol Rock Road here. And Capitol Rock is actually a national monument. It's a geological rock structure that looks pretty cool, and I'll have a picture of that in a minute. We're in Montana now. This is National Forest Road 3049, and we'll be splitting off on National Forest Road 3060 right here. And a friend of mine, Ty Lloyd, made this section of this route. Thank you, Ty Lloyd. You did a great job. I appreciate all the help you've given me. And Ty and I will actually be riding together for about a week doing these routes. Up to the left here, as we round this corner, and about a mile to the left there is Capitol Rock. There's Capitol Rock there. National Monument. And this is still continuing on Capitol Rock Road, which leads into Long Pine Road. Long Pine is a campground in the Custer National Forest. And we'll just meander around the tops of these hills for a bit. Just to give you a little background too, Google Earth, this Google Earth animation took 28 hours to render. And the video that resulted from that rendering was 2 hours. I had to speed it up to 500 times to get it down, this video down to 20 minutes. That was too long. So I sped it up some areas 1,000%, 2,000%. I kind of played with it, but that's why it's going so fast. I wanted to get down to 10 or 11 minutes. We're out of the Custer National Forest now and approaching what's called Prairie Dale Road. We have a little bit here, and Prairie Dale Road and beyond will be Webster Road, which will lead us to the Montana-North Dakota border, and then ultimately into or to the tri-state marker of South Dakota, North Dakota, Montana. We'll just enjoy the scenery here a little bit. I'm sure it's going to be amazingly beautiful on the ground. And a lot of this, I think this is, you could do this with a four-wheel drive. I'll be on a motorcycle. Oh, here we go. Just join the view. And here is Prairie Dale Road, which I said leads to Webster Road. And I've seen some photos of this area. It looks quite amazing when it's all green. This is Webster Road, and some interesting geological features on the left here. Be nice to explore that, see what that's all about. And in a minute here, we will be on the Montana-North Dakota border. There's a distinctive turn going into a field with private land that I'll have to figure out if I can cross that and hopefully not get shot or not anger the property owners. Don't want to do that. Don't want to violate anybody's private property rights. I'd like to get permission. That'll just be in a second. Just enjoy the view a little bit. It's amazing that people live out here. I wouldn't mind it, but dang, getting into town's quite the chore. And again, as you can see, these roads are suitable for a vehicle, four-wheel vehicle. And right here, I believe, is going to be the North Dakota border. There's a little pink right there. This will lead us to the tri-state marker. of South Dakota, North Dakota, Montana. Like I said, this is private property. As you can see, we're going through some fields here. So I will be sure to try and get permission. Here we're doing a slow approach to the marker, which I don't have a picture of myself. I had to grab one off the internet. And that's the location of it there, right in the middle, some fields. And there's the marker. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope that was informative and helpful if you're going to do this route. Uh, let me know in the comments if you like the voiceover or not. So with that, I will say adios. Frostbite out.